Thank you, Halia. My name is Nicole Ramer. I am a professional organizer, a certified senior move manager, and the founder of Organized Haven. We are an A+ accredited moving, downsizing, and estate clearing company serving Polk County seniors and families since 2013. So we're coming up on our 9th anniversary this April. Excited to share that. Joining me in 2016 is my husband and fellow certified senior move manager, Danny. He is the co-owner of Organized Haven. Our professional organizers, senior move managers, and movers, they're all trained and experienced members of NAPO, which is the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, as well as NASM, the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers, who again is A+ accredited. And you can learn more about our team at the link right there, organizedhaven.com/about. So a little bit about how Organized Haven came to be. We started organizing homes for seniors and for others who were simply overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they've collected in their lifetimes. That was in 2013 with me, myself, and I. And that's how professional organizers usually begin as independent organizers. We added downsizing and move management for seniors and their families in 2016. Partnering with companies such as senior living communities to ease the overwhelm of these types of transitions. Also in 2016, we became partner managers with MaxSold, which is why we're here today to tell you all about that and how you can use MaxSold to maximize your service with your clients. So in 2020, nearing the end of, I would say, the first year of the pandemic, we became a full service mover also. And that was really to benefit or better meet the needs of our clients. Also, no longer needing to outsource movers who may not follow our exact standards of practice. And so that is how our model has really transitioned over the years. So as senior move managers, we have the training to assist older adults and their families with the physical, but also the emotional aspects of relocation, or even aging in place when that senior wants to remain in their home, which is also common these days. So here are some topics that we'll cover on how to maximize your services with MaxSold using our experiences that we've obtained in our 6 years of partnership with MaxSold. Relocation and liquidation, what works and what doesn't work, what sells, building an A+ team, building an A+ auction, and overcoming objections, because we certainly have them. So before we get started, I'd really just like to know who I'm talking with today. So if you're joining us on the Zoom webinar, the ladies here will give you access to poll number 1. Who are you? Are you a professional organizer or a senior move manager or one of these other options on this list? Because I know MaxSold has lots of partners and prospective partners. As both a professional organizer and a senior move manager, I imagine some of you listening may fall into multiple categories. So if you have that option, go ahead and choose multiple categories. I believe we're going to give about 20 seconds. And if you're joining us on Facebook today, just let us know in the chat. Looks like there's a couple other questions too to answer in this first poll.
I think there may be a bit of a technical difficulty with the polls. However, you're more than welcome to post it in the chat for any participant who wants to join. And you can add in the question that you think is more suitable to you in the chat until we get the polls resolved.
Perfect. There's always a technical issue, right? If there's anything to be expected, it's that when we wake up in the mornings. Looks like we have a senior move manager in the Zoom chat. I'm not paying attention to the Facebook live chat. Francine says she can organize anyone else. She's dreadful with herself. Yes, us professional organizers can relate with that. Professional or potential organizer aspirations, great. It is certainly a growing industry and a fun one. So it looks like we've got some sellers themselves as well. And I believe Helia is closing the poll.
Yes, it seems like there are a lot of people that are downsizing for their own homes, and there are a few resellers, potential organizers. So you have a mix of everything, Nicole here.
Great. Well, it's always great to know who's with us today so that we can kind of guide the rest of this to meet all of your needs. So I hope we can do that. I think we have 40 participants here on Zoom now.
Yes. That is, yeah, so that we are closing the poll now, so it's totally okay for you to move forward.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for participating with that. Let me make sure I've got, I believe we've moved forward to the right screen. Relocation and liquidation. So I love this cartoon, and so do those that attend my presentations. I have lots, but I thought this was really fitting for this webinar today because downsizing and moving is overwhelming, to say the least. Those who we serve have at least that one thing in common, and it's overwhelming for most people because really it's uncharted territory. There's no one size fits all roadmap that you can just pick up and run with, right? And whether you have 30% of your home's collections being sorted through and decisions being made on whether to keep, sell, or even donate these things, or you have 70% or more, it really is hard to know the perfect solution that would limit the stress of relocating and liquidating a home. So it's really common to feel stuck and not even know where to start. And that's why downsizing professionals, such as some of you who are with us today, really need to have that access to solutions that work. My clicker doesn't like to work, another technical difficulty. So I think I missed one. Confusing myself here. All right, I'm with you. So I want to share this seller story with you. Here we go. So I'm introducing you to my longtime clients, the Hamiltons. In 2018, they met me at a local senior living community where I held a downsizing webinar. Although the time wasn't right then for them to move, they followed us until we ultimately moved them in 2021. On their packing day and the day before their move and their home's closing, their local auction house changed their mind on wanting their leftover household goods. So if you see here, Mrs. Hamilton says, we can't say enough good things about Organized Haven. They were wonderful from the beginning to the end with our recent move. They helped with space planning, packing, moving. And since we had to downsize, they took everything we couldn't keep and we put it on MaxSold to sell. So the reason why this seller story was really an inspiration to us, and attributes to the way that we're able to help our clients is because we had the added resource of our warehouse to take these downsized items that all of a sudden they had nobody to take and put them on an online estate sale with MaxSold without having to postpone the closing of their house, which really just isn't possible. And so Organized Haven and MaxSold solved their problem. Forgive me, but my slides aren't transferring the same way they are here. Okay, so now we have the last poll number 2. I just want to know, what is your downsizing method currently? Are you performing garage sales, whether it's for yourself in your downsizing journey or for those that you serve as a downsizing specialist, or any of these other options here? Some of you may already be MaxSold sellers, and so with the poll, you should be able to choose F. Let's initiate that and give it another 20 seconds. And again, use the chat on Facebook if for whatever reason you are not able to use the poll. Can you activate that poll, Helia?
I think is still having some trouble. So
Okay.
I think it would be best if everyone just posted in the chat for answers for any of the polls moving forward, just in case. If it does work, then it's great. But if it doesn't, just use the chat for now.
Okay, I got it. I see them coming in.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone, for participating.
I see a lot of garage sales. Donation seems to come up a lot. Donations and consignment. There are some MaxSolds there. Happy to see those.
Mm-hmm. So even those loyal MaxSold partners are attending this webinar hoping to learn something new. So I hope that I can provide that. We combine MaxSold and donation. Yes, of course. eBay. That's fun, huh? Communicating with all of those bidders, shipping things to those who are non-local. Hi, Carly. Thanks for that hello. If anyone knows me personally, please shoot me a hello. I'm not looking at all of the participant names. Barbara says, no, eBay is not fun, LOL.
Yeah, it seems like the first contender is donations. I see a lot of donations there, so I think that would be your highest sort of percentage in this
All right,
poll.
great. Okay, thank you so much for that.
Perfect. I think we can move on from there.
There we go.
There we go. You
Yeah,
got it.
I apologize for that. That delay in that transfer is interesting. Okay, so we just found out what your favorite or your most used downsizing methods are. So we got a lot of MaxSold, a lot of donations. Let's talk about why some of these methods just don't work or are just a little more difficult. I'm not taking the time with you today to watch this video. We are going to share the link, though, with you, maybe in that 2 days after you get that recording. I'm not sure exactly the timeline on that, but it is also on the Organized Haven webpage, and I encourage you to watch it. It's about a 5-minute video, and it's a comedian's view of what it's like to have a garage sale. So you see the title, Weird People at Garage Sales, but it really isn't about weird people per se. It's just the weird things that happen. So watch that. It'll be relatable for those of you who have had a garage sale or 2 or 20, but it really is a realistic experience that I'd love for you to watch. All right, so let me share with you some of the ways that these options don't do well or just haven't done well for us in the past. And if you can relate to any of these, continue using that chat and loading us up with maybe some experiences that you had or just what you can relate to and why. So garage sales have always been an interesting solution to me. You can do really well with them if you do them right, but the average garage sale results in maybe 50% selling and 50% coming back into the house. That's actually exactly what happened with my neighbor just a couple of weeks ago, in which they brought out clothing and just the standard unused items that they didn't want cluttering up their home anymore. At least half of it went back into their home. And every day I see my neighbor loading up a little bit of it into the back of her compact car to take it to donation centers. Um, and so that's just one small example of why garage sales are problematic and doesn't really reach a quick solution. And so again, watch that video. Then we've got short estate sales, or really estate sales in general, that also tend to have more left at the end than what you might want to have left at the end. Some estate sale companies will take the unsold items on your behalf to donation centers themselves, and they'll liquidate it. And certainly that's a benefit to be able to really say, okay, this was done and I can move on. Short estate sales, we've seen some for one day that weren't advertised, that really only the neighbors knew about, and which very, very, very little sold. There was also a very little paper trail in some of these. It's one reason why several years ago we transitioned from just doing MaxSold for the communities that didn't allow estate sales to really referring this as a primary solution that it works because it works more than the traditional estate sale might. Like garage sales too, we tend with an estate sale to shoot high in our wish price, what we want to sell this item for, and usually it's the next day in which everything is 50% off that you really have any progress in that department. And so the price drops. With local auctions, we see that there really isn't a whole lot of activity. There's not many people attending these auctions. You don't know who they're going to be and what they're bringing in their pocket to purchase. Whether they have $20, $200, $2,000, you really don't know. And so we found it to be a limited audience and limited success. It doesn't mean it doesn't always work. Donating, some of your favorites, has been really challenging in these past couple of years, probably mainly due to COVID and just the risk to these donation centers coming into homes and collecting a lot and putting it into their vehicles and, going through any kind of cleaning process maybe. But also, it's been a long known fact that donation centers really only have so much space on their floors. And so if they don't have the room for it, if they see it sitting for long periods of time, they're not going to want to take it. And so you really spend a whole lot of time calling these places, and that is certainly recommended to plan it in advance. But it's just a heavy process that isn't always successful, and you've got to kind of try this, it doesn't work, try that donation center, it doesn't work. And so we've struggled for that to be an efficient process for our clients. Storing is one of the least recommended options. The reason why it doesn't work is because we feel at Organized Haven that storing should be a temporary solution. And while our clients have that best interest in mind too, because they don't want to pay for that monthly cost, it really just is enabling or it's carrying on this process into a more lengthy process than it should be. So it's an inaffordable solution and it's just delaying the inevitable. I think that was the word I was looking for. It delays the inevitable of needing to sort through these things and really make those hard decisions. And then you've got dumping, and we all know the result that that has on our environment. And so we do everything that we can to get our clients loved, cherished, gently used household goods into the hands of people who really need them and not into the ground. And so that's why we really feel like MaxSold is a great option. And so MaxSold has been a lifesaver, truthfully, for our clients and even for our team in offering this solution. Our clients typically ask, it is a frequently asked question, what am I going to do with all this stuff I've collected in our lifetimes? Husband and wife, or just, independently, one spouse who's left in her home to deal with all of these collections. So on average, they're overwhelmed because they have a large amount of items to let go of. Again, that 30 to 70% of their lifetime. They are overwhelmed and they are stuck because it's not just one room of their house. As you can imagine with that cartoon that I had shared, it's all of their rooms, their drawers, their cabinets, their closets. It's just kind of become a landing spot for everything. We joke about that being our dining room table. Oftentimes we come home and we just set things on that table. And yes, I'm speaking from personal experience as well with my kids and my husband. It's just a landing spot for all of the things. And that's what we find in our clients' homes because they've had a lifetime to do this. Our clients are typically not interested in the garage or estate sale nightmare for the reasons why I said before. They also want to know what happens with their things. And so MaxSold brings our clients an effective method of downsizing that is safe, it's transparent, it's efficient, and it's organized. Transparent meaning there's actually a paper trail. They also have a tight deadline to leave their home, and they need hands-on help. So with MaxSold, our clients have been able to sell the most with the least hassle in the shortest amount of time. All right, I'm on a roll here with these slide transitions. So our clients really like the ability to balance out the cost of their move by selling the items that they've chosen to find a new owner for. And selling your items really doesn't have to be a nightmare. It doesn't have to be time consuming. We, with MaxSold in our partnership, help our clients get the most value for the estate. The items that are more likely to sell for high value are vintage or antique toys, clothing, jewelry, tools, and furniture. So that's again on that vintage and antiques. They also are able to sell their collections, stamp collections, coin collections, comic book collections, baseball card collections, really any collection. Sometimes that's even beyond from the home that they have lived in the United States. They've traveled and they have collections from everywhere. Mid-century housewares do really well, especially things like baking pieces from Fiesta or Pyrex, and even mid-century furniture does really well. Silver, gold, jewelry, and really even costume jewelry does well with MaxSold. We've had several examples of that. Tools, everyday tools, and everyday household goods. I have a takeaway for you that MaxSold will also share on what sells and the best way to sell these things. And so what's great is that even if you have low to mid-value items, such as these everyday household goods, they will sell too. With MaxSold, you sell everything simply, 98% on average sells. So now I'd love to show you some examples of some of the things that we've sold for our clients right here in Central Florida. So this Reed and Barton sterling silver flatware set sold for $1,090. Take note on all of these. I've just got several examples to show how many times these items have been viewed. So if you see here, 232 times on this silver flatware set. All right, so this card table and chair sold for $167, and the item had been viewed 79 times. This Ethan Allen pie safe sold for $760 and was viewed 440 times. Just imagine in an estate sale or a garage sale, 440 people attended and looked at this item. That is not possible or safe. This Kenmore refrigerator freezer sold for $300 and was viewed 97 times. So this is no high-tech refrigerator, and for having this item for at least 15 years to get $300 out of it, I think was an awesome deal for our client. This Street Strider elliptical three-eye bike sold for $810 and was viewed 172 times. And here are some real life auction metrics, again, from a few of our sales in Central Florida. So this are the metrics on the total sales. So you see 2,448 views with 53 lots sold at a total amount of just under $2,500. There were 59 bidders and a sell-through rate of 100%. This one, 10,000 views, almost 11,000, with 129 lots. There were 79 bidders. 36 of those were winners at a total number of bids of over $5,700. And again, another sell-through rate of 100%, which is really common, especially if you set these sales up for success and you really only lot what you know you can sell. So this sale at over $6,200 was viewed over 12,000 times with 153 lots, 54 winning bidders out of 107 at another 100% sell-through rate. Just two more, $7,600 with over 10,000 views, 79 bidders, 35% of them winning and 100% sold. And last but not least, over $9,100, over 23,000 views on this sale that had 207 lots with 69 winners at 100% sold. And so these 69 winners were those that purchased online safely and securely and received invoices for their paid receipts and attended the organized pickup compared to possibly hundreds strolling through our clients' homes with a normal estate sale, many of them not buying one thing. So we're getting to the point of building an A-plus team. So we've just got a couple of sections to go here. And building a team of trained professionals is important to ensuring a successful experience. So these are some of the things that we look for in qualified individuals to sort for and catalog our sales. They know their stuff. They've been around maybe family members in the homes that they've even grown up in. They've kind of gained some knowledge on some of the things found in everyday homes, even of the past. And these collections and vintage pieces, finding qualified individuals to join your team that know their stuff, I would say is most important. As organizers, we also strive for them to be detail oriented. They are great at photography, and those two things are very important to selling content online because we want the title to be accurate, the description to be sufficient, and the photography to be excellent. Our team members are efficient with sorting, lotting, and cataloging these goods. There's ways to do so efficiently by, as one example, limiting the touch points, limiting the amount of times that you touch each item as you sort and make decisions on them, making the best decisions the first time without having to move things around and, kind of think things out into detail of a method. And then organized and friendly pickups. Our MaxSold buyers, we work a lot with our sellers, our clients, and our partners who refer us, but we also have great relationships with our buyers. They are repeat buyers. What you find when you are hosting a sale, managing a sale, is that you have some of the same people who love to buy for their own homes, to fill their homes with things that were loved for generations and that still have life to live. And so some of the ways MaxSold shares insight with their partners and really even their sellers and their buyers are things such as this MaxSold caller, the newsletter that I believe anybody can subscribe to and learn. There's dozens of articles and tools and resources to help you be successful with all of these things, especially knowing your stuff. MaxSold also has a YouTube channel. They give monthly webinars such as these. Thank you again for including me in another Ask an Expert series. And they also have seller managed training and other website resources on their website that I would encourage you to check out. It's very important to us that we provide a service that is transparent and efficient. MaxSold helps us do this. This isn't specifically a MaxSold review like I shared earlier on, but what you see here are just some of the standard things that we do, and our goal of having fair pricing and processes and being fast and efficient, and truly being considered an expert and a professional that helps them meet their goals. So with 6 years and 60 auctions of experience, we have learned several things and ways to build an A+ auction. With everything treasured being just one bid away, we want both our sellers and our buyers to be successful. These are just some of the ways that we're able to build an A+ auction, which in fact adds a new revenue stream to our business and elevates our clients' sale of goods experience. And that's what it's all about. So some of these things that we try to do, and as you see, we have some that are outside of some of these standards, but number one, an auction lot count of 100 to 150 lots does best. Those really advertise well. It's not too small, it's not too large. Number two, similarly, a 5 to 7 day auction, although you really could have a 3 to 9 day auction that can be successful, we have found in our experience that an auction schedule of being live 5 to 7 days does the best because it's not too short. People see it in time, but it's also not too long. The viewers of these sales aren't forgetting about the final date of live bidding. Excuse me, grab some water real quick. So I told you about your team and how they really need to be detail oriented in that title, in that description, and really in their photos too for both buyer and seller satisfaction. But another very important point, and the difference between an online estate sale and an in-person estate sale really is the search engine optimization. So some of you may know what that is. For those of you who don't, it's being able to find what you're looking for when you're looking for it. So if you have a card table and chairs, it's just the first thing that came to mind as one of the examples I showed you. And someone here for us in Lakeland is looking for a used card table and chairs. Did you know that with MaxSold, they'll actually be able to find that lot and be able to bid on it? And so that's why it's so important that you are detail oriented in the titling and the description of your lot. We also recommend packing lots for ease of pickup. This really became a necessary task with COVID because we wanted to be able to literally slide that packed box and lot down a 6-foot table for the buyer that was coming to pick it up. And although we don't have to do that in all cases anymore, and we have found ways to offer a safe and secure process, it is still a great idea just for the sense of time and ease of transfer to that buyer. And again, this is a local pickup option. You're not having to deal with eBay, communication, and shipping. Last, but certainly not least, in building an A-plus auction for us has been marketing to our audience. So MaxSold does an outstanding job of advertising these sales. They're advertised really all over the estate sale websites, like estatesales.net, that estate sale companies advertise to, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. All of these sales are advertised very well by MaxSold, but we take it a step further because we too have a fan base, we have a client base, and we have people who watch our sales. And so I believe that link will be shared. If you wanted to look at any of the detail in any of our lots and auctions that we've established, you can go to MaxSold shop page that will be shared. And then last on this slide, you can see here the details of why our clients have a better experience of selling their excess household goods using MaxSold versus traditional tag or estate sales, Craigslist, and apps such as Let Go, eBay, and Garage Sale. So is it fast? Will it clear all my household items? And all of the things that you're also going to have access to that you see here, it will be provided to you in the end. For all of these reasons, MaxSold has the ultimate option, auction option, and estate sale option for our clients. I think we're doing good on time, so just checking that. Finally, overcoming objections is the last item on our agenda, but it really is most important. Selling your contents by way of an online auction can be a little scary, especially if you are really counting on making some good money here. Because if you have that goal, whether it's realistic or not, of making something specific with the sale of the contents of your home, then there are either other options that are better for you, or you really just need to compare those options and figure out what really is your goal, what really is the value. So in our experience, we've seen many instances of homeowners and their family members thinking that everything in the house is of an enormous value, monetary value, and it really isn't. They have plans for their estate proceeds, and they hope and they wish, and those two things really just cloud their judgment. So it could be difficult to see at first, but the true value in the downsizing process is in the sale of the house, not the contents that are in it. We say that often, probably every day. MaxSold provides that true value by selling the most with the least hassle in the shortest amount of time, as I believe I said before. So downsizing specialists like us provide value by engaging in the most make sense process to best meet the true goal of our clients, to clear the house quickly. So let's just take a quick comparison of these alternate options as a comparison. We talked about storing these items, and for an indefinite amount of time, adding those incurred storage costs and delaying the inevitable, which is the decision making on these things, and what really we can realistically sell them for. But we didn't really talk a lot about this, Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So if you have a couple of things to sell, sure, this could be a really viable option, but not when you're selling 30 to 70% of the contents of your home. And I believe we already beat estate sales to death. So we'll end that slide there. And so before we get to questions, I want to leave you with this last thought from the founder of MaxSold, who you see here next to Danny and I at our company headquarters just last month. I want everyone, move this here so I can see this whole quote, to recognize that contents matter, and not giving them a chance to get into the hands of others who need them ignores our responsibility to the environment. MaxSold provides a good option for that, as well as a way to treat yourself, the client, fairly too. There we go. So thank you so much for joining us today. Please connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn here at Organized Haven. I'd be happy to provide support in the future if you're looking to advance your partner managed MaxSold experience. So you can always reach out by email as well. And I believe we have some time for questions. So let's take the time to answer some.
Yes, thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing your experience and insight with us. We will now open for Q&A. Should you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screens, not the chat. And I will now ask some questions that have already come in. So Anne asks, how can I make sure I'm getting a fair price for my antiques? I am not sure of their worth.
Sure. Well, if you have antiques, if you have vintage items, and you really want to understand a little bit more about the best method of selling them and how much you could get for them, certainly look for an appraiser because it is good. The more knowledge you have is power. So find out with a certified appraiser what those items are worth.
Awesome. That's great. Erica asks, are those, I believe she's referring to the portal graphs, are those graphs from the MaxSold site?
Let me go back and just make sure it's this one. This one on the bottom right? Yes, if that's your question. Yes, that came from the MaxSold site directly.
Perfect. Thank you. Lowell asks, how is transfer of purchase items handled?
Efficiently, I'll start by saying. So the transfer of items happens at a one-day typically pickup. I have had my share of sales, though, that we had to divide into two separate sales because there were over 300 lots. So, and this was pre-COVID. So it's a little bit of an old example, but the whether or not it's one auction or two auction that you or the family that you're working with has, you have one pickup day per auction. And with a MaxSold managed auction or with a partner managed auction, you have people there who are overseeing the entire process, have the invoices, know exactly who's coming to pick up and when. So it's very, very well organized, so long as you have a sufficient amount of people there to oversee and make sure that the buyers of one lot are only getting that one lot and not somebody else's. And we also, again, pack things in advance so that it's easy. I think there was another point that I had on that. Maybe I'll think about it, but I hope that answered the question for the most part.
Thank you, Nicole. I have Diane who's asking more of sort of about the items that you can, based on your experience you've sold. She mentions, my father made some collages using old lamps, plumbing, and electrical parts. Would they sell on MaxSold?
Absolutely. Definitely don't pitch those, Diane. The reason why I had everything on those slides in terms of what sells, really it does. Everything sells. There is a short list of things that are not legal to sell, such as guns, but the interesting pieces, more the better. Because these things were loved and created for a reason, and there's always someone else. Those articles and how they say nobody wants my stuff or my parents' stuff, I don't call that true, not with the help of MaxSold, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you. And Debbie asks, who establishes an opening bid?
Who establishes an opening bid? I'm not sure. I might need a little bit of clarification on that question.
I think that's more of, I think that might be more of a MaxSold question. So I can definitely address that in the chat, not a problem.
Okay, one thought on it is just who manages the actual setup, the going live, and all of that. Yes, MaxSold takes care of all of the bidding.
Great, awesome. Someone is asking, based on your experience, do you think silver plate pieces sell, table linens?
They do. Just be very descriptive in the silver plate. Don't call it silver. There's a difference. So if you know it's not real silver and it's just silver plated, you definitely want to include that in the description. I think you said table linens as well. Yes, table linens are great. Again, everything that you can think of, everything that you can sort, put them into sensible lots. That's something MaxSold teaches you. We try to make a lot that's not listed here. So just as an added tip, if you would buy a lot for $30 or one individual item for $30, not what it sells for retail, but what you would realistically buy for your own home, $30 in value is what you're trying to set up these lots for. A TV, for instance, would go by itself. Office supplies would go together and you would have a collection, not too large of one.
Great, that's wonderful. Melanie asks, hi, Nicole, curious from this presentation, it sounds like you're doing seller managed auctions through MaxSold versus MaxSold managed. If that is the case, was that a positive move for your business?
Hey, Melanie. Yes. Well, I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I always have been. So, of course, we have had our experience with MaxSold managing these auctions as well. In fact, the ones that have come to us have done so because of the referral from MaxSold themselves. So we have a few experiences where we did the organizing and the setup for our client who really didn't have the ability to do that, whether it be physically or emotionally or, just not here in person. We've had those opportunities too, but we chose to do partner managed and have that as our primary method of choice because we like to be able to offer the service from beginning to end, to really understand what we're doing, to be able to properly advise, and just to be able to have a very well-rounded experience for sellers, buyers, everyone.
That's great. I do have a question from Nancy. Do you work on hoarder homes?
Yes and no. I will say yes because we have clients who have a household of collections. They've just collected things and saved them, whether or not they're bringing value to their lives or they're valuable in general. Oftentimes they're not a hoarder, they're just a collector. And so it's really a misused term. But in the event that we have a true hoarder, there are other needs that we are not qualified to provide on our own. We want to involve someone like a psychologist who can really discover the true reason for the hoard and be able to best provide them the service and a solution to actually being successful. But yes, if there is a hoarder, we encourage them to reach out to us if they're here. Even if they're not, and we can provide some advice and they're outside of the Central Florida location, we're happy to.
Great, awesome. I do have another question which pertains to your experience. So they're asking, what's the process? I've been pulling items. At what point does one invite in a MaxSold person, or is one better off doing it themselves in order to take time to get it all done? What is your personal experience?
Keep that one up because that's loaded. So don't answer it it goes away.
Oh, sorry.
So that's okay. That's all right. I'm having a hard time remembering all of the details of that one now. So
asking if they've been pulling items, and at what point do you think that they should ask MaxSold to come in? Or is it better off doing it themselves in order to take the time to get it all done?
Okay, so it depends on the timeline. So our clients typically involve us or MaxSold whenever they are not seeing the end in sight. When they really don't know where to start and they have the ability to just hand it over to the professionals. So MaxSold will catalog the items and will manage the pickup for the client who has really everything set. Typically, the client who also has everything set, but also has an iPad and is familiar with technology and can learn how to do this, they can do it themselves, limiting the cost to them, but of course, including all of the extra work. So if you have the time to get it all done and empty the cubby holes, thanks Helia for putting that back up for me, then certainly it's one reason why I love MaxSold, because there's just so many options. So it really works for everybody. Sellers doing the whole thing themselves and managing the pickup, doing the cataloging, everything. MaxSold managed where the seller has already done all that, and MaxSold at a really great rate can come in and just do the cataloging and manage the pickup. Or partner managed like us, in which they really don't want to do all of that. They have no idea where to even begin. And so they are looking for the organizing aspect as well. And so that's where the partnership between MaxSold and us really works well.
Great, awesome. I do have another question. Someone is asking, does MaxSold pack and box the items, or do you do that?
We do that. I don't believe MaxSold, even on MaxSold Managed, are doing things like that. They just, provide the physical support in terms of seeing the buyers come into the house, approving the invoice, confirming the receipt and any ID if needed, and having that buyer pack up their goods and leave the home. So that's just something we have found to be a successful resource for us to make pickups shorter, smoother, and just easier in general for everyone involved. So we even see our MaxSold buyers coming in with their boxes. They bring them just in case, because you don't really know. One auction can be completely different from the next, because who's managing it and what are they going to do to make it successful or not so much. And so they always come up with their boxes ready to pack them, and it's just a pleasant surprise for them typically to not have to do that. It's just done, and then we have them just check the contents before they leave, make sure nothing's broken, make sure everything is to their satisfaction, that their lots are in that box. And so they're able to take that to their car, check it real quick, not be in the way of the other buyers coming in. And so it works, but it's not 100% necessary if you have a smaller auction or a longer pickup or sufficient people to assist and lead these buyers to their lots inside the house.
I agree. I understand. I agree, definitely. There were some questions from before that I wanted to pull up. So someone asked, how do you find proper team members to add to your team?
Honestly, I've had a lot of success with Facebook because the method works. People are on Facebook. The people who are, potentially looking for an opportunity like this, they're not finding them in other places. I've tried Indeed. I was unsuccessful for many reasons. I also have my local network. So the people who I talk with every day, the people who know, like, and trust us, that may know somebody who would be a great fit. I had someone the other day at my local Better Living for Seniors meeting introduce me to, I'm sorry, I approached her because she was there looking for an opportunity in the senior service industry. And so she vocalized that to the whole group. And so she was the first person I went to. I'm still waiting to hear back from her on whether she thinks this is a good option for her. So utilize Facebook if you're on there. You can set up pre-interview questions too. It's one thing I like about that, because you can find out how detail-oriented your people are and what kind of experience you have with the right questions if they give you the right answers. So that's been my favorite avenue so far, is Facebook.
Awesome, great. Francine asks, I have a friend in Florida. They are an older couple and collectors. And do they need a person there for you to go in and assess? And what are your limitations geographically?
Right. So we cover the whole Central Florida area and beyond. If we cannot get there, if it just doesn't make sense because of time and mileage costs, if it's outside of our region, we have partners really all over that we have access to, and friends who are fellow MaxSold partners. And so whether it be us or someone who we know, like, and trust, we can help determine if there's somebody locally to help you and what their, what did I say before, what their model is, because maybe they do the MaxSold managed way, or maybe it's just simply a referral process for that organizer or move manager. Did that answer the question?
Yes, yes, thank you. And last question, has the pandemic affected your productivity in business in any way?
Oh, it did for sure at first. So I just a little bit more about me. When the pandemic first hit and what I say, the world shut down, it was Friday the 13th, for those of you who don't remember, in March, here in the States anyway. And my daughter was 6 months old. So being a senior serving specialist and moving our clients to mainly senior living communities, we lost business because these senior living communities were not allowing move-ins. And so at first, we really needed to figure out how we could pivot. MaxSold was already a partner. And in fact, that's one thing that kept us going, because we weren't just moving seniors to senior living communities. We were clearing estates. And, found by MaxSold themselves or found by the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers or, NAPO, we were able to survive, but we had to pivot. It's one reason why adding moving services was integral, because our processes, they didn't become inefficient necessarily because of the pandemic. I mean, there was the PPE, and none of my people want to wear that in hot 85-degree households that our seniors like to stay warm. And so the PPE was certainly a deterrent, and I would say it definitely slowed down production. But, we've just found ways to pivot and to overcome those efficiencies or deficiencies in our process. And it's just something you build over time. I mean, we're 9 years in and we're still changing and building and reevaluating.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If you don't mind going to the last slide so that everyone can see your contact information.
Sure.
I don't see any other questions. I do see another MaxSold question, which we can answer, Francine. If you do reach out to us, we can definitely help you with that. I will be wrapping up now since we're, short on time, but that concludes today's webinar. Thank you, Nicole, again for putting this presentation together, and thank you all again for attending and asking questions. To those who register through our Zoom link, we will be sending out a recap email that includes some key takeaways from the webinar on a one-page document, and the video will be available to those who are interested as well. Thank you again for joining, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for your participation. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.